I was always going to my father. But now we have Google, so no need for that, to tell us. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, that's the trend. So now you can even learn to play Madunga over YouTube and all this. You don't even need a teacher anymore, But yeah, if we want to seriously cultivate bhakti and actually, make some progress, we do need to accept Guru. Yes. Because, it is said, by Krishna's mercy we find Guru, and by Guru's mercy we get Krishna. So that's the connection. And also one of our great sadhus, Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he used to say, let me see, what did he say? If Krishna's mercy assumes a body and appears before us, that is Guru. So it's also a nice way to understand Guru's position. So if Krishna's mercy accepts a body and appears in front of us, that's Guru. The embodiment of Krishna's mercy. Yes. So, and of course, there's all different kinds. She was a prostitute. She was the Vatma Pradashika Guru to Bilvamangala Thakur, who said to him, if you would just be as keen as you are to meet me, if you would be as keen to get Krishna, then you would be a pure devotee. That's what she said to him, and that woke him up, Yes. Yeah, so it can, a Sankirtan devotee, a book distributor, he often acts as a Vatma Pradashika Guru by putting people in contact with Prabhupada, with Krishna. So yeah, one does not have to be such an elevated devotee. In one sense, one doesn't even have to be strictly practicing Krishna consciousness, We may have some friend who takes us along to the temple who is not even chanting or something, but he can play that role, right? Yes, and then there's all different levels of Shiksha Gurus or Shikha Gurus and Dikha Gurus. So, Shiksha, instruction, there's a broad spectrum of all different levels. In one sense, anybody who gives instruction, who teaches, he gives Shiksha. But then also there's a higher level, he who is on the same level of our Diksha Guru, like that. And ultimately, it is said that that person who is most prominent in giving instruction, he should become the Diksha Guru. Yes. So initially when a person, let me ask to understand my audience, who is initiated? Okay, quite a few, but not everybody. Yes, so in the very beginning, we usually advise people just to try and build their relationship with Prabhupada. Not to even immediately think, oh, who is my guru, but that we are just concentrating on Prabhupada, reading books about his life. Who has read the Shikshamrita, the short version of Prabhupada's biography? Lilamrita, sorry, yes, that's what I meant, Lilamrita. Yes, so not everybody. Oh, so many you haven't read Prabhupada's Lilamrita, the short version of Prabhupada's biography? So tomorrow, if you come to the Sunday program, you have to get a copy of it. Yes. How can we be a part of ISKCON without knowing about Prabhupada's life?
Is it the founder Acharya book?
No, not Founder Acharya. That's pretty, just the Leelamrita. You know, it's Satsvut Maharaj's.
Yeah.
There's a short version in 1 volume, but then there's the 5 or even 6 volumes, the really elaborate version. I mean, at least the short version, everybody should read. Yes. And it's so easy to read, very, exciting to see how Prabhupada started this movement and, Yes. I remember when I met Krishna consciousness in Australia in 85, the first few years I didn't even read much Bhagavatam. But I was devouring all these books about Prabhupada's life. Like Satsvut Maharaj has written so many, and I read most of them actually. And not only Satsvut Maharaj, there's so many other personalities, like Harisori Prabhu's diaries, and then Mukunda Maharaj's book Miracle on 22nd Avenue. And who else do we have? Well, there's one book, Prabhupada in Germany. So, you all in Germany. So you better read about Prabhupada's pastimes in Germany. Anybody of you has read that? Nobody. You have. Du auch nicht?
Ich hatte das nicht.
Hast du nicht. What's the author's name? He's a Swami now. Vedavas Prabhu. So now he is Bhakti Gauravani Maharaj. Yes. Yeah, nice book. And then there's Prabhupada in South Africa and Prabhupada in Australia. And yeah, I was so keen on all these books about Prabhupada. And that actually brings us closer to Prabhupada as a person, So of course, reading Prabhupada's books is also a way to get to know him. But then even more so when we read about Prabhupada's life, how he was dealing in all different challenging situations, how he was struggling so much, and. I mean, all these books are so important for us to read, because then we get to know Prabhupada more as a person. So, because Prabhupada is the foremost Shiksha Guru in ISKCON. He's the founder Acharya, big topic. Yes. And actually the function of our Diksha Guru is simply to connect us with Prabhupada. This is also often not so clearly understood, that very easily our worship of Guru ends there, and we don't realize he is the via media to Prabhupada. Yes. And he should connect us deeply to Prabhupada. That's his role, actually. Yes. And he is giving us the first discipline and training. Even though these days you can say, well, those who give the discipline and training are usually the devotees at the temple, the mentors or the more experienced devotees at the temple, because our gurus are traveling all over the world. How much training and discipline can they really give, Actually, we have in the strategic planning of the GBC, we have a committee of the Guru of the future. And they have this motto: instead of having a handful of gurus with thousands of disciples, we want thousands of gurus with a handful of disciples. But of course, this is, can I have a bit more cold water? This is quite process to get there, So not so quickly, it will take several generations. because we also have to make sure somehow, we have to try to make sure that the gurus who are initiating, that they're also qualified. So we can't simply give green light to anybody here, oh yeah, let's have thousands of gurus. But no, if we don't make sure there is at least some basic qualification there, then very easily, well, in former times there was no authorization process, and as far as I understand, that's how we got the upper sampradayas, you know? That all kinds of, you know, sampradayas, lines were sprouting up who were actually not bona fide, who were teaching all kinds of other things there, you know. So, and in order to avoid that, there is some process of, you know, authorization is required, really, you know. These topics have all been discussed widely in ISKCON, and we have some personalities who feel no need to authorize, you know, but I find this a little scary, you know. Yes, so, yeah. So basically, we can say we practice on Guru how to serve Krishna. So we serve him as if he was Krishna, because somehow we have to practice, right? Somehow we have to practice. So we can just imagine, you know, if our Guru comes to our home or to our temple, that excitement, oh, Guru Maharaj is coming, oh, I want to cook something, or making a garland, and you know, so that is actually the way how we would receive Krishna. So we practice on Guru. Right. Yeah, and I've also heard that saying that, you know, our relationship with Krishna is as good as with our Guru. So depending on how dedicated we are, how devotional we are, how we want to please and serve him, you know, that's our relationship to Krishna, because we practice on him. So that's why we say Guru represents Krishna. You know, it doesn't mean he is Krishna, but he simply represents. Right? Yeah, well, and in one sense, we should also come to that stage where we represent our Guru and Prabhupada, you know, that we practice nicely, we behave exemplary and all that, you know. Yeah. So, there is one, I mean, you know, the topic of Guru, I actually do have a seminar on this, becoming a true disciple, goes over several sessions. Because so often we are so concerned who is a true Guru, but even more difficult to find a true disciple. And we don't discuss that so much, you know, what it means to actually be a true disciple. Yes, so I will just, what did we say? 5:30, 5:40 we go to, right? Yes.
5:40 is okay.
5:40 is okay. Yeah, so I just want to pick a couple of little, or just maybe one aspect, one of the secrets to success of becoming a true disciple. So disciple comes from discipline, right? At least in English, that connection is very clear, you know. And initiation also means, to initiate means to begin, right? Yes. Sometimes people are so anxious, yes, I want to get initiated, and they're hoping for some, you know, big enlightenment or something. But no, it's not the goal, the end, but it's the beginning. And yeah, I've seen a few times when people 2 or 3 weeks after initiation they walk out, they give up Krishna consciousness. Yeah, it happens because people have some wrong expectations, and they think, oh, you know, now I'm initiated. This will change my life, and then they realize, oh, actually no, it's not some magic thing there. You know. And often there's also a lot of social pressure there, you know, that, oh, this person is already initiated and I'm not. But we came around a similar time, and I quickly also have to get a spiritual name, so I'm accepted as a devotee, and you know, there's often a lot of social pressure there. But it is the point, I mean, we should not rush, you know, to get initiated, and first develop our relationship with Prabhupada and simply hear from all different personalities, and then see whose preaching inspires us the most. Yes. So it's a process, you know. Yeah. And the process should be taking place in the heart, not on the level of the intelligence that we think, oh yeah, this one is pretty cool and that one is the guru of my friends and maybe I should also accept him, and there I don't have to wait so long. I get quick initiation, okay, let me accept him. You know, so this is not the process to accept. But it should come from within the heart, that one day it's very clear, this is the right person to connect me with Prabhupada and to guide me and to train me, and on him I want to practice, to sacrifice myself, and so on. Yeah. So it is a whole process. And yeah, I have come across people where people say they come already for 10, 15 years, and they say, oh, there's just nobody there who I feel could be my guru or something. And they think it's an external reason, that just there's no right person for me. But usually, if it takes so many years, it usually means we are not ready to surrender and make the commitment. Yes, and give up our independence. Yeah. So then I usually recommend people to pray to Prabhupada, you know, to please help me to develop and cultivate the right mood in order to be able to accept Guru, and to help me to realize that I need Guru, you know, because in one sense it can be quite comfortable not even having a guru, and then I can do what I like, and I can just, come whenever I want and do something, but yes, definitely not too much, just a little bit. Can be very comfortable, you know. On the same way, it can be very comfortable to accept a guru who never comes where we live. He's far away. Okay, I have a guru, but no chance of him ever getting to know me more. He's got already 20,000 disciples or whatever, and no chance that he will pull my ear and slap me a bit, you know. And then I can also very nicely do whatever I like, you know. That's just accepting Guru in name only, you know. But so should be accepted deeply in the heart, you know. Yeah. And there is, going back to the one secret, to accept discipline and being willing to sacrifice ourselves for Guru's pleasure. I hope it's not chilly, Prabhu. Otherwise, it will affect my voice, you know. Yes, yes. Open a few more windows there in the kitchen area, maybe one over there if there's one. Yes, I have copied a few powerful statements in regards to Guru. Let me see, where are they? Yes, this is from the Bhagavatam 4:28:50. To execute the will of the spiritual master, the disciple should be prepared to lay down his life and abandon all personal considerations. Yes.
In order to what?
To execute the will of the spiritual master, the disciple should be prepared to lay down his life and abandon all personal considerations, all personal interests. You know, that actually is the mood, how we are meant to accept Guru and serve Guru, that we're really willing to sacrifice our life, giving up our personal interests, comforts, conveniences, and. Yeah, that is what it means to become a true disciple. Not so cheap, obviously, you know. Actually, once one initiating guru was telling me personally, he said, the biggest challenge in being a Diksha guru is that you can see exactly what your disciple should hear. You know, you can see what instruction you should give him. But because you know he's not ready to follow it, you cannot give it. That's what he said. Yeah. So, yeah. That just shows that there's not so many true disciples around, you know, if gurus feel that way. That they can see exactly, I should tell this person this instruction. But I know he's not ready to follow. I can't give it. Because Guru cannot put the disciple in a situation where he disobeys his orders. That will damage the relationship. So he cannot put him in a situation where he commits Guru aparad, you know. So therefore, he often has to adjust and see, you know, how much is my disciple ready to actually accept the instruction, you know. Yes, I remember also one situation. I was the third person present in a darshan of one Mataji with her guru, you know, for the Vaishnava etiquette. They asked me to come and be present there, so he's not alone with his disciple. And it was a young unmarried girl, and she had this idea to live in Vrindavan. Something which we don't really recommend young unmarried girls, you know, to live in Vrindavan. But she had pretty firmly decided, and she wanted to get the blessings of her guru for this plan. So, and she presented the plan, yes, she wants to live in Vrindavan. And her guru was trying in different ways to make her understand, actually, not such a good idea. You know, Vrindavan is not a place for young unmarried girls. And there's no women's ashrams and. So no matter how much she tried to get that point across, she was not willing to accept it. So then what could her spiritual master do? You know, he said, all right, try it. Go and live in Vrindavan. And then I witnessed how she walked out of his room. My guru instructed me, you should live in Vrindavan. You have to live in Vrindavan. Yes, he gave all his blessings and mercy. You know? And I thought, oh my God, you know? So she was simply twisting her guru's arm, you know, until what could he say? All right, give it a try. You know, and then she told all her friends, my Guru Maharaj instructed me, you have to go and live in Vrindavan. And actually also Guru Govinda Maharaj, he speaks a lot about Guru, you know, Guru-disciple relationship. There's some books there, can't remember the names, but they're very, very nice. And Guru Govinda Maharaj says, you know, Guru Sadhu have the creeper form and the Vanchana form, the cheating form. So it's not that Guru or Sadhu are cheating, but we get what we want. So in that example, she obviously got the cheating form. You know, she did not get Guru's real instruction, the real mercy, you know, because she was not willing to accept it. So she got the cheating form, you know, where he simply gave in to her desire. And she felt that's the blessing and the mercy. But no, she actually didn't get the mercy. You know. The real mercy would have been to be willing to accept that he didn't agree that she should live in Vrindavan. That would have been the real mercy, but that she did not get. You know. Yeah, so that's the situation, and I guess at Prabhupada's times, you know, Prabhupada's disciples definitely embodied that mood so much more of really being willing to sacrifice their life for pleasing Prabhupada, you know. Even in my time when I joined 85, you know, it was not so long after Prabhupada left, that mood was still there. Oh yes, I mean, I wouldn't even want to tell you what we were all doing, you know, as brahmacharis in Australia. We were doing crazy things, you know, staying up all night and really being willing to kill ourselves there for, you know, Guru's pleasure and Prabhupada's mission and all that. So it was a very different mood, actually, than it is today. And we still had, we had that spirit of really diving into it, giving everything up and, you know, pushing ourselves to the max, you know. And it's exciting if we serve like this, actually. Then Krishna responds and, you know, we get all, we get so many realizations and so somehow 40 years later Kali Yuga has progressed and people are more independent. Like, just to give you an example, I was for 4 years in the Brahmacharini ashram in Sydney in Australia. So it would have never even come to our mind to just say, oh, I want to go to India for 6 months. This did not exist, you know. I'm sure in your early days also not. No, you know, we were not independent like this. You know, it was unheard of young unmarried girls just going off to India for 6 months. No, we would have never gotten the idea to even suggest it, you know. So whenever we were going to India, we were going in a group under supervision of a senior devotee just for 3-4 weeks, and then we were coming back and continuing our service. You know, that was the spirit. There was no room for this independent mood of, oh, I want to go here and I want to go there and this and that. You know. And I remember even when we were wanting to go to a different temple, you know, we were kind of, how to say, we were traded in, you know. So when a devotee from Sydney wanted to go to Melbourne, okay, then the Melbourne temple has to send somebody to Sydney. was the system, you know. Or if somebody marries somebody in another temple, okay, then they have to send somebody in exchange. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there was not that independent spirit, you know. Yeah. It was very different times, you know. But I want to read you also one nice thing in connection with the importance of sacrificing our life. This is from Krishna book. See, I have this verse book where I copied all kinds of interesting things and I put them under topics. So this is a paragraph from Krishna book, from the story where Krishna and Balaram and Sudama were in Sandipani Muni's ashram. It's in Ujjain. Anybody visited Sandipani Muni's ashram in Ujjain? Yes, I've also been there. Still there, little temple there, where Krishna, Balaram and Sudama went to the Gurukul. So, and there was this situation, I'm sure we all know the story, where Sandipani Muni sent them to the forest to collect firewood. And then a big storm came, and the boys couldn't find their way home. And they had to stay all night in the forest, shivering, wet, freezing, big storm. So, and then the next day, Sandipani Muni goes out in the forest looking for them. And then when he finds them, he is so pleased. And he says the following: "My dear boys, it is very wonderful that you have suffered so much trouble for me. Everyone likes to take care of his body as the first consideration. Don't we all? Huh? Whatever is comfortable and pleasing to me, that's our first consideration. But you are so good and faithful to your Guru that without caring for bodily comforts, you have taken so much trouble for me. I am also glad to see that bona fide students like you will undergo any kind of trouble for the satisfaction of the spiritual master. That is the way for a bona fide disciple to become free from his debt to the spiritual master. It is the duty of the disciple to dedicate his life to the service of the spiritual master. My dear best of the twice-born, I am greatly pleased by your action, and I bless you." Now comes the blessing. "May all your desires and ambitions be fulfilled. May the understanding of the Vedas, which you have learned from me, always continue to remain within your memory, so that at every moment you can remember the teachings of the Vedas and quote the instructions without difficulty. Thus you will never be disappointed in this life or in the next." Very nice. Yeah, so very nice story, you know, making this point that, yeah, we have to really be willing to sacrifice ourselves for Guru's pleasure, be willing to not consider our comfort, convenience, our interests first, you know, yes, but being willing to disregard them, you know. And then, you know, Guru actually gives that blessing that we understand spiritual knowledge, you know. So realizations don't just come by studying Prabhupada's books. It's a good start, it's definitely necessary, but actually the revelations, the realizations, they're given from within the heart, proportionally to our mood of service, our willingness to sacrifice ourselves. Yes. And again, our first generation of devotees, Prabhupada's disciples, they very nicely exemplify that. In those days there was no Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhava. Even when I joined, there was no Bhakti Shastri. There was no Bhakta course, nothing. Of course, it's good to do these courses. I don't want to minimize it. But yeah, the first generation devotees, they had that spirit of sacrificing themselves. There's that famous story with Malati Mataji and Prabhupada, where Malati was cooking for Prabhupada, and some of Prabhupada's godbrothers came for lunch, and Prabhupada introduced her to his godbrothers and saying, "This is Malati Devi." And what exactly does he say? "She is willing to slit her throat for me, and I'm willing to do the same for her." That's what Prabhupada said. Slit your throat for me. Pretty amazing, If Guru says that about us, this person is willing to slit his or her throat for me. Wow, that means something. And I've heard Prabhupada disciples saying, if Prabhupada had told me to jump off the 20th floor of a high-rise building, I would have done it. Of course, Prabhupada would never give such a foolish instruction. But no, it simply shows the mood, the spirit, that people were willing to do anything to please Prabhupada. And in return for that spirit, that's how all the transcendental knowledge was revealed in their hearts, Because as I said, it was not the days for big studies and all that. But still, look at them, what contributions many of them made, So it's not a matter of just getting the certificate and that certificate and running after certificates. No, you have to have that service spirit, of sacrificing ourselves. And then Krishna reveals, There's one of my favorites, one more nice purport which matches to this topic. This is 2nd Canto, 9th chapter, verse 24, in the purport. Prabhupada says, "In executing penance, one must be determined to return home back to Godhead, and one must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that end. Even for material prosperity, name and fame, one has to undergo severe types of penance. Otherwise, no one can become an important figure in this material world, right? Many of you are professionals here. So, if you want to be successful, we have to be willing to accept some tapasya, some austerity, some penance, right? Why then are there severe types of penance for the perfection of devotional service? And now comes my favorite sentence. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. Right? No room for easygoing life. If we want to attain pure bhakti, we have to kick out this easygoing life mood, the cruising. Yeah. I mean, Rupa Goswami also tells us we need intense greed to get Krishna. There has to be some intensity there, some intense greed. No easygoing life. No. Yes, but often, we are pretty easygoing, Yes, do not go together. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. Painstaking. The order is received from the Lord, either directly or through the bona fide spiritual master. And to execute that order, however painstaking, is the severe type of penance. One who follows the principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. Yes. No easygoing life. And then also Krishna consciousness can almost become a little boring, if we're just cruising along an easygoing life. No, there's so much joy and nectar if we actually really push ourselves to our limits, yes, and really have that mood of sacrificing ourselves. Of course, there's so many more things I could say, but let me see if there are any questions. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji. So my question is how to look for a guru, and how do you know, like, you're ready for a guru or to go to that path in your spirituality, like you're looking for a guru? How to distinguish between these two things?
Between which two things?
So first, how to look for a guru,
Yes.
and secondly, how do you know that you are ready? You're in that stage now that
Okay.
you can go.
Well, I touched upon it briefly in the beginning, that first we should develop a relationship with Prabhupada, reading his books, reading about him, worshipping him, connecting more with him, praying to him. So, and then we simply listen from different personalities. And as I mentioned, whoever's preaching inspires us, nourishes our faith in the process of devotional service and Prabhupada and Krishna. Whoever is nourishing our faith the most, he should become our Diksha Guru. Even though also we can say, the guru-disciple relationship, there is also a practical aspect to it. So it's not so, not so practical to accept somebody who never comes to the area where we live. Because we are not on that stage that immediately we can be connected to Vani. There's Vapu, Vani. Vapu is the personal association. Vani is the association through remembrance and following instructions and so on. So we are not so elevated that we can be immediately fixed in Vani, in remembering the instruction. We do need that personal association. And that personal association, also opportunity to serve that person, cook for him, wash his dhoti, clean his room, whatever it may be, that establishes us in Vani. So I usually do recommend to accept a person who we can at least once a year personally meet. I was always meeting my gurus for 2 times a year. Once a year is already not that much. Or we have to be, well off enough that we can just fly to wherever he is. Wherever more gurus visit, London or India, or wherever, Yeah. I have, I'm the type of person, I'm always observing, analyzing. I have seen devotees accepting a guru who just came once because of some certain occasion, and then they accept that person, but then he never came again, and the relationship did not really develop, And yeah, so the personal association for us neophytes is important. So there's that practical aspect also. Because sometimes people say, oh, I feel really inspired by this and this personality, but he never comes. Then often I tell them, well, why don't you accept that person as a Shiksha guru? You simply hear through internet from that person, you get inspired. But then, you know, another person who comes maybe more regularly, or you can go somewhere where he comes regularly. You know, that is, yeah, maybe more helpful, you know. Yes. And people often think it's the other way around, that that person, when you really feel inspired and he's so distant, he should be your Diksha Guru and the local person, the Shiksha. But no, I would recommend the other way, you know. Yes. So, and then to see whether we are ready, well, you know, following the 4 principles, chanting 16 rounds every day. So they are all criterias we have to fulfill anyway to ask for being accepted, for chanting the pranam mantra, you know. So, but if we are on that level, that we have been following these things for quite a while, and as I mentioned, if people say, oh, there's just no guru for me, I can't find them, well then it's maybe within our hearts that we are not ready to make that commitment. Okay. What else? Well, I can mention a few words about Vyasa Puja. Right?
I had a question, but we can do it afterwards.
Okay. Yes. So let me, you know, say Vyasa Puja. We have Vyasa Puja of our spiritual master, but then there's also Vyasa Puja of Prabhupada. And I'm always, disheartened, if not to say shocked, to see how few people write a Vyasa Puja homage for Prabhupada. Let me see here. Who is in the habit of every year writing a Vyasa Puja homage to Prabhupada? Yes, okay, 3 people. Yes, really important. Really important. You know, Vyasa Puja, we can say, is like a festival of gratitude, you know, where we really sit down and we reflect, not only on that day, but already a few weeks before, because we want to write a Vyasa Puja homage, so cannot be done in the last minute. We have to meditate and reflect, where we reflect how this person changed our life, you know, and where we reflect on that person's divine qualities and their self-sacrifice and their compassion and their humility and their purity and their devotion and you know. Yeah, and that we just reflect how this person, you know, influenced our life, and also from year to year we can, you know, look back on the whole year and reflect, so what was the special thing this year, and how Guru or Prabhupada was helping me, or what are the realizations of this year in connection to Guru or Prabhupada, you know. So this is a very important aspect of developing the relationship. Of course, Prabhupada or Guru don't need our glorification, of course not. But it's for our purification, for our relationship with them, you know, that at least once, or with Prabhupada twice on his disappearance, that we sit down and we put something in black and white on a piece of paper reflecting, you know, how grateful we are that Prabhupada came to the Western world and how we want to rededicate ourselves and to sacrifice our life for his mission. And Prabhupada used to say, just give this one life to Krishna. Just this one life. You've had so many lifetimes, so this one life for Krishna. And then Prabhupada said, and then you can do whatever you like. Meaning in the spiritual world. But just this one life for Krishna. Yeah, so that should be the mood on Vyasa Puja, you know. From this day on, I'm yours. You know, let me once again, you know, rededicate myself. From this day on, my life is yours. You know, just this one life. You know. Yeah, so towards Guru, towards Prabhupada. Very important. If we do this every year, we can see something manifest in that relationship, you know. And Prabhupada actually Prabhupada should become the most important personality in our life. It's Prabhupada. Yes, yes. But often when we make decisions in our life, we should reflect, what would Prabhupada say? You know? Yes. Actually, to be connected to Prabhupada or Guru means that we have some internal dependence. We feel internally dependent on their mercy, on their blessings, on their guidance. Then we are connected. I once heard this nice analogy of electric wire. We don't have one here. So an electric wire is transmitting the electricity. Thank you. And it has two aspects. The outside rubber insulation and the inside copper. So which one transmits the electricity? The copper one. But the outside one also plays a role, right? Yes. So now, in our connection with Prabhupada, let's say, the outside rubber part is compared to the mere initiation. It's also important, but it's an external part. After all, so many initiated devotees, where are they now? You know? So sometimes we think, oh, I'm initiated, I'm connected to the Brahma. Well, sorry, not so easy. You know? That's the outside rubber part. But then the real part that transmits the electricity, that builds the connection, is the copper part, which is the mood of internally feeling completely helplessly dependent on that person's mercy and guidance and blessings. So there we can already reflect a little and look in our hearts. Do I feel dependent on Prabhupada's mercy, guidance and blessings? Do I ever think about these things? How much is Prabhupada at all present in my life? Is he playing a role at all? Especially if we haven't even read the short version of his biography, my God. Yes. Yes. Tomorrow we have to make sure there's a pile of Prabhupada books at the entrance. Huh?
We have one here.
We have one here. Not enough. Every one of you should have this. And not only have it, but read it also. Who has it in their homes? The short version of the biography. Who has it? You see, there's still many people who don't have it. I'll catch you tomorrow. If you're coming tomorrow. Yes. So, you know, we can reflect what position is Prabhupada having in my heart? What role is he playing? Am I ever thinking of him and feeling dependent on his mercy and guidance? You know? Yes. That's when we are connected to Prabhupada. Or same thing to our Guru. Yes. Yes. So, and if that feeling is not there, our connection we can compare to a very slow internet connection. I'm sure we all have experience of that it says on the phone or computer, yeah, you're connected. But it's so weak, so slow, you can't download anything. You can't even open up a website or nothing, you know. But yes, it says I'm connected. So that's what it's like, you know. When that internal dependence is not there, then all right, some connection is there, but it's so weak that that flow of mercy coming through the parampara, going all the way back to Mahaprabhu, can't reach us. It's blocked. Nothing can reach us. You know, so to be connected to the parampara, it's not just a question of initiation, but it's a question of internal dependence on Prabhupada. Because we all have to be connected to Prabhupada. Yes. For the next, hopefully, 10,000 years. Or the Diksha Gurus connect us with Prabhupada. So, if we are connected to Prabhupada and we feel helplessly dependent on his mercy, then we can also act like a touchstone and connect others to Prabhupada. And that's how it goes on, you know? Yeah, that's why Prabhupada's picture is the last one in the parampara. And everybody connects their disciples to Prabhupada. Not to their guru and then to their guru and their guru and no. To Prabhupada. That's the proper Guru Tattva understanding. Yeah, so Vyasa Puja, very, very important day of our Guru, of Prabhupada, you know. You all came to the temple for Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja? Yes? Yes, you were there. Because often after Janmashtami, people are tired, yeah? And then again to the temple. But no, that's the nectar, you know? Yes. So we can't miss it. Yeah, we have to be there and we offer some glorification. Yes. I was this year for Janmashtami, Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, I was in Ireland, in Innisrath. That's an island, Krishna Island. And usually wherever I am for Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, because it's my favorite festival of the whole year, I usually change the whole program, you know? Even if I'm just coming as a visitor. And I just drag it out. So this year we had a nice Abhishek, then we were watching the first half an hour of Prabhupada, that film of Yaduba Prabhu about Prabhupada, just to tune in the heart, you know, just the first half an hour. And then what else did we have? Yeah, then there was talks about Prabhupada. I gave a whole thing about Prabhupada being the founder of Chaya. Pritu Prabhu was there, he told some Prabhupada stories. And then every single person who was present talked about Prabhupada. Yeah. And some people started crying and, you know, it was quite hard moving, yes. They wanted to finish it all by 12:30 and I said, forget it, no, we'll finish, you know, at 3 or 4, you know. And if somebody's hungry, all right, they can step out and bite into a banana and come back. But nobody stepped out, no, it was all very nice. Yeah, so it has to be, I mean, we have that GBC rule that Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja should be celebrated more opulently than our Guru's Vyasa Puja, you know? But unfortunately, You know, often it's just a matter of 2 hours finished because everybody's tired, you know. Yeah, and for our gurus, we make 1 or 2 full days of festivities, you know. It shouldn't be like that, you know. Yeah. Yeah, before becoming Krishna conscious, we have to become Prabhupada conscious. Yes. All right, time is going, 10 to 6. I don't want to get on your nerves.
We are like you, Mataji. You can carry on.
But maybe there's still somebody here who hasn't seen the books I published. So that's why I brought a few along, just to see whether maybe somebody feels inspired to get some. What?
You can help you to show.
No, I'll do that. I'll show them. Yes. I have established an institute for spiritual culture. And I put together all different courses, which I teach in Mayapur in January. And now I'm putting the courses in book form. And they're all about the practical application of our philosophy. How do we live it? You know? Just repeating, learning it is a good step number 1, but then comes the practical application. And we are not there yet. Yes. But Krishna consciousness will only transform our heart if we live it. You know? If at home we leave everything as it is, and we just go to the temple on Sundays, have nice prasad, nice kirtan, this will not really bring about a transformation. So we have to actually live it. And that's what I'm trying to concentrate on in my humble preaching efforts. So let me do this quickly. Spiritual culture, Krishna's divine system. This is all about the man-woman gender confusions. That men, women are not equal. I think in this audience I can be courageous enough to say this. In America I wouldn't say it. Yes, men, women are very, very different because they have different qualities, different natures, because they're meant to play different roles. And this book is all about women, actually. We women play a very important role. We have a very powerful Shakti. And Bhagavatam says we should use that energy to empower the men and not to compete with them. But because of the man-woman equality now, the women tend to compete with the men, and that actually weakens the men. So it's quite mind-blowing to read this book. Actually, in India, in Pune, Chaupadi, they use this book as a handbook for brahmachari training for the men, even though the whole book is about women. Yeah, just so the men understand what important role we women are meant to play. And when you read this book, you realize how this man-woman equality puts the whole human society upside down. That's what it does. Yes. Very important for married life also. It has improved and even saved quite a few marriages. I have a few success stories where people were just about to file the divorce, and then she got this book and read it, and oh, she gave it a last try, and now they're happily married still, you know. Also very helpful for young girls. How old are you girls there? Yeah. 12 and? No, that one in the pink. How old are you? Huh? 10. Yeah, you girls can read this already. It's all about women. What important qualities we women have to develop. About shyness and chastity, so many interesting things in a deeper way explained. And I'm sharing stories from Bangladesh because I've been preaching in Bangladesh for over 20 years, and that's why I learned all these things. You know? Yes. Yeah, so any woman who wants to have harmonious relationships with men in her life, you should better check out this book. And any man who wants to get the empowerment and support of the women, you also should check out this book. Then we have sheltering relationships. This is all about the importance of having a mentor. That just having a guru not enough. In India we say counselor, right? In the West we call it more mentor. Very important topic, because our gurus have so many disciples, they cannot possibly know each and every person's individual situation in life. So we need this well-wishing, more experienced friend who shows us how to move forward. If we don't have that, easily we stay in our comfort zone and then we become stagnant. And we can come to the temple for 30 years every Sunday, but nothing much changes in our life. Everything stays as it is. We become stagnant. We lost a lot of devotees over the last 50 years because we did not understand the importance of mentorship. And there's also a chapter on envy in it, how envy manifests towards seniors equals juniors. What qualities we have to serve as a mentor. You know, good to know, so we look for a qualified person. Then we have the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. Title speaks for itself. False ego, very subtle. We can easily miss it and not even identify it. And we can feed and boost the false ego instead of subduing and dissolving it. Married life can be a battlefield of false egos. Oh my God, who is right, who is wrong? Just see, I told you, didn't I? And. Yeah, people ruin their whole family life just over ego battles. And they don't even realize, you know? Yeah, so there's a lot of things in it to help us. Like when we get offended, how often does that happen? What is it? False ego crying for justice when we can't forgive and let go. And there's a whole chapter on chanting the holy name in Japa and Kirtan. Very interesting. I do conduct holy name retreats if anybody is planning soon to go to India. I conduct a holy name retreat every year in Ekachakradam over Christmas, 21st to 25th of December. Who's been to Ekachakra? Really? You haven't been to Ekachakra? You have to come. Yeah, no, it's you enter a different reality. Yeah, it's quite powerful. We stay there for 4 nights. It's really in seclusion. It takes about 4 hours by bus from Mayapur. So all you have to do is register on my website, be in time in Mayapur, and we arrange everything. Accommodation, prasad, and bus. On donation basis.
How are you going?
The actual cost is about 3,500 rupees, which is peanuts. It's not even 50 euros, you know. And Dharmadaji will be there helping me. She will sing the evening kirtans if you like her kirtans, so come. How many Ekachakra retreats have you done? 5, 6?
Yeah, something.
Something like that. She wants to come every year. Yeah, it's good to brush up our chanting habits, you know, to park everything. Nothing is more important than the holy name. Everything can wait. Switch off your mobile phone, then you really get a deep experience. If you switch off your mobile phone, everything can wait. Then you enter a different reality. Yeah. Yes. Then we have entering the Grihasthashram, how to do it, how not to do it. It's a handbook for matchmaking. Yes, I have to say, even in India, we need a bit of, we need to refine our matchmaking techniques. I preach a lot in India. In India now, people just look at caste and money. That's all people look at when they try and find a spouse for their children. Caste and money, no other considerations. And the worst thing is, they don't give the young people enough time to talk. You know, it's 2 times half an hour they meet. The parents make the deal. I mean, even if you buy a computer, you spend more than 1 hour checking out different things. What can this one do, that one do, what do I need? What to speak of, it's such an important lifetime decision of who you marry. And I'm basically traveling all around the world, Australia, New Zealand, US, Canada, South Africa, you name it. And everywhere there's so many Indian body devotees. And you would not imagine how many unhappy and mismatched couples I meet from Indian background. It's terrible. See, and in the former times, people were sticking to it, even if it was suffering from day one, But these days are over. People get divorced. Oh, yes. I meet people, they've only been married for 6 weeks, and 6 weeks, 6 months, and got already divorced, Yes. So, please, let's educate ourselves how to find a good match for our children, Yes, it's the duty of the parents. So this is very practical. It's like a handbook for matchmaking. I have served quite a bit as a matchmaker, but please don't ask me to find a husband and wife. But I put quite a few couples together, also here in Germany. And so I follow this system. It's tested. It works. And there's a whole list of around 200 topics which both should discuss with a cool head. It takes a little longer than 2 times half an hour meeting. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks of spending every day 1 to 2 hours. And they're good questions where you have to reflect and introspect and share. And then you get to know each other, So I'm not advocating here some boyfriend-girlfriend relationship going for walks. When I'm matchmaking, I don't even allow them to go for a walk. No. Meeting in a closed room, cool head, talk. Already going for romantic walks, that already invites the enjoying spirit. And then our vision is clouded, we cannot see. It's a whole thing, So if you have any, especially if you have girls in your family, educate yourself how to go about it. And last but not least, family life is an ashram, secrets of success. It's good for preparation for family life, but also for those who are married already, to see how can I spiritualize my family life. How do I create this culture of bhakti in my home? And then the kids very naturally grow into Krishna consciousness. But if that culture is not there, if it's not lived, and Krishna consciousness is just some rules, then the kids will not like it, and they will not become devotees. So there's a lot of interesting topics in this book. It's the thickest, actually. And there's a whole chapter on physical intimacy in marriage, how to live this principle of no illicit sex life. There's quite a bit of confusion over it. I did quite a bit of research, and I came across interesting episodes with Prabhupada, where he says things which hardly anybody has heard. And people are surprised, what, really, Prabhupada said that? Wow, okay, yes. So I hope this book makes our family life more Krishna conscious and at the same time emotionally balanced and healthy. So if any of you want to get some books, these last 3 are 15 euros each. The first 2 are 10 euros each. Whole set 65 euros. You can pay cash or make a transfer in my German bank account. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention and patience. Srila Prabhupada ki Swami Vivekananda ki Gaura Premanand. By the way, I'm working on my next book, and I hope to have it out beginning of this next year. Title is The Vanapasashram, Meeting Death with Joy. Vanapasashram, not established, even though Bhagavatam is full of instructions. So people often say, oh, first I have to read the Bhagavatam before I can read these books. Oh, well, what's the use? You read the Bhagavatam said 2, 3, 4 times, but you still don't get the point that after Grihastha ashram is another ashram, and it's meant for each and every one. People don't understand. So that's why people need some literature to understand how to actually apply what Prabhupada says, not just reading it, but living it. Yeah. Vanapasa is the forgotten ashram. Okay. Prashad. Oh no, hang on, we have Kirtan, right? Guwahati.
I had one question if I can ask.
Okay.
I had a question, Mataji, that first of all, thank you so much for a wonderful lecture and your presence. Second question I had is that many times I get confused about Siksha Guru, the role of Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru. And sometimes I hear from people that you should only accept that Siksha Guru who's aligned to the mood of your Diksha Guru, and also take acceptance from Diksha Guru that is it okay if I make him a Siksha Guru. But sometimes people say, no, I can make whoever my Siksha Guru, doesn't matter. So what is the right etiquette?
No, the etiquette is, once we have a Diksha Guru, we ask him for permission, to accept that person as a Shiksha Guru. And yeah, of course, it's preferable if they're both in one line. Otherwise, we can be confused or something, who to follow and that. I mean, the Shiksha Gurus are seen as the helping hands in our Diksha relationship. They're meant to bring us closer to the Diksha Guru, like that. Yes. But then, of course, there's also different levels of Shiksha Gurus. We may have a Shiksha Guru who doesn't even know that he's playing the role of Shiksha Guru for us. Just somebody who we like to listen over internet or something. So it's not that we have to ask our Guru for every person who we like to listen from or something. So it is more, with a firm commitment where we actually ask that person, can I accept you as my Shiksha Guru? And we would also, observe his Vyasa Pujas and write him a homage, and that there's really some more commitment there. So that we have to ask for permission, if he really plays a very prominent role in our life, And also just to mention that, in the beginning, it is good just to concentrate on our Diksha Guru, because it's hard enough to really develop that relationship. So in the beginning stage, no need to jump around, oh yeah, so I need some Shiksha Gurus. Sometimes we may also want some Shiksha Gurus just to avoid the discipline of our Diksha Guru, that we somehow don't like what he instructs us, and then we try and find a Shiksha Guru who goes along with what we want, So obviously this is not the right mood. So in the beginning, let's just concentrate on the Diksha Guru, and really firmly establish that relationship, because if we have too many, gurus in our life, then easily none of these relationships become more deeper where we actually have a firm commitment. But then also, let's say after 20 years of accepting discipline of our Diksha Guru, we may actually come to the point in life where we somehow have developed a bit of a different mood and we feel more inspired by a different personality. So that is bona fide, you know? Yes. Because also we have to understand when we accept our Diksha Guru, we are in a very neophyte stage, you know, and we ladies, we may be a little emotional and, oh, I like his kirtans and he gave me a garland, oh, he must be my guru or something. It's all right, you know, but then after 20 years, it's like a child growing up. So and then we may develop into a different mood and we may feel more inspired by a different personality. So there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes people feel, oh, this is offensive or something. No, it's not offensive. But we have to ask our Diksha Guru for permission, you know, and yeah, and any true guru will be more than happy if there's somebody who brings the disciple further, you know. If we have that mood, all inspiration has to only come from me, then this is also not so healthy, you know. So, yes, whoever inspires you, fine, as long as he is a bona fide devotee in good standing, you know, yes. So there's nothing wrong with it. It can be a very natural progression in our spiritual development, you know. Yeah. Okay, is that enough?
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Jay.
Yes.
If you can also briefly say, what is the role of temple authorities in the role of Shiksha Guru or the GBC or any management that we have? Do they implicitly become Shiksha Gurus, or is it only when we are seeking education we see them as Shiksha Gurus? Is there any relation between?
Well, I mean,
Could you repeat the question, please?
he's saying what is the relationship with temple authorities, GBCs, you know?
They automatically play the role.
Do they play automatically the role of Shiksha Gurus? Well, being Guru is a matter of faith and trust. So, all right, they may be training us, but it is up to us whether we really accept them as Shiksha Guru or whether he is simply a managerial authority, you know, under whom we have to work. It doesn't automatically mean the person is a Shiksha Guru. It's a question of the heart, who we have faith in, you know.
Then in what role are we accepting their instruction? Because as a manager is going to tell do these things, and whether we accept him as guru or not, we are fulfilling what he's asking. So what is that relation? Is it only a manager and subordinate, or is it more than
Well,
that?
it's depending on your heart, you know. It's a question of heart. We cannot label it. It's a question of heart. If you actually have trust in that faith and you really want to please that person and you really like to receive his instruction and so, then he plays a more of a guru role. But if it is a more managerial thing and maybe you may not even click so well with that person, you know, and you may not like that person also or something, you know, also happens. So we can't say, oh, I'm the temple authority, I'm your Shiksha Guru or
So it's
something.
kind of voluntarily accepting.
Of course, Guru is always voluntarily, always. Sometimes people say, oh, tell me, what do you think, who should I take initiation of? No, sorry, this is up to you. You have to go through that internal process of choosing and making the commitment. Nobody can tell you, you know. But I mean, since you're bringing up the question, it is also advisable to have a mentor. because sometimes, I mean, I've been in management for so many years, and I know management is a challenge, you know, to make ends meet and get all the services covered. And naturally, as a manager, you see people through the managerial glasses, you know. And very often, the interest of the project clashes with the interest of the individual devotee. I was for several years a member of the Devotee Care Committee in the GBC Strategic Planning. So the essence of devotee care is that we have to become more people focused and not only project focused. So yeah, it's advisable to have a mentor, you know, where we can open our heart, where we know this person has no other interest except my spiritual growth and development, no managerial interest, no financial interest, no emotional interest. Simply my spiritual journey, what's good for my spiritual life, because that can clash, you know. That for one devotee who is working very hard in the temple, he may need, you know, 3 months to go to Mayapur and do the Bhakti Shastra course, but then the manager says, hey, hang on, he can't go, otherwise who's going to wake up the deities every morning or whatever, you know. So then the mentor has to step in and say, hey, this person really needs a break. So I'm sure we can find some other solution and you know. Yeah, so mentorship, very important topic. Yeah. What, another question? I think maybe we'll do this over prasadam or something, because it's 6:15. We are 45 minutes behind time. Where is Risha Prabhu? How long do you want to continue with questions?
As you wish, Mataji.
No, you are the...
I'm flexible. Last one.
Okay, last one. Okay.
Life would be simple.
So,
Devaki Mataji, what you are speaking about, especially your answer to Sudama's question, to me shows on what high level you are. The level of liberated, or somehow to say
no.
freed. No, let me speak, please. Freed mind. That is not this freedom, certainly material.
I just repeat what I've heard.
Different thing, different level. But
So what's the question?
the question is, but if we are not yet on this level, yes, but nevertheless we are marching the temple, and for me the question of like and dislike, it's not very understandable, because I know that, for example, if we don't like, but nevertheless we serve, it can be maybe much more useful for us. That is my question, what you think of it?
Well, like and dislike is the question, the level of the mind. And we usually don't consult and don't take instruction of the mind, you know. So the question should be, what is favorable and healthy for my devotional development, you know. So, and because we may in our conditioned state, as long as we have material desires and attachments, we can't objectively assess ourselves. We can't see where we stand, actually. We may think we're doing really great, but others may think differently. So again, that's why we need a mentor. So, and then with our likes and dislikes, we can approach the mentor and ask, so please guide me, what is good for me, you know? And yes, I mean, that's nectar of devotion. There are these two angas of bhakti. When we accept something which we never ever would want to do, but for Krishna's pleasure we are willing to accept. And when we give up something which we would never ever want to give up, But for Krishna's pleasure, we are willing to give up. That's the beginning of bhakti. That's the beginning of love. If we just do what we want to do, then let's be honest, we're not really doing it for Krishna, we are actually doing it for ourselves. We probably would do it anyway. So, all right, I dovetail it for Krishna and I give, some of the result to him or something. But yeah, love is when we do something which we don't like to do, but for Krishna's pleasure we are willing to do. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada ki. Okay, next phase of the program.